presentation. My first question is for Monsieur Bourque from the Canadian Real Estate Association. In your presentation, you talked about the problems of possible indoor quality of air. You talked about respiratory disease. You talked about mold, spores, fungus, and different things like that that could affect the home. Can you share with us shortly what a short-term or long-term consequence to a house structure would be if they would have that type of air quality of mold, spores, and fungus, how it affects the home?
Thanks for the question. Well, first of all, I'm not a scientist, but we've done our homework on this, and we've looked at what experts have been saying. We also have the benefit of the experience of tens of thousands of realtors who've been in these properties where there have been grow-ops. And, you know, for years, the police have familiarity with drug labs that are in homes that are much worse than just marijuana cultivation, where you end up with sewer damage, where you have all kinds of molds and potentially explosions from the precursors that are being used to make drugs. And so, you know, realtors have had long experience dealing with these kinds of properties. It's not very difficult to find someone in the real estate business who has personally encountered a home that has been affected because people have grown large quantities, have not done so properly. They rewire to the panel in an unsafe way. This creates fire hazards. They don't have proper ventilation. There is a lot of humidity. Often they're hiding this growing, so they'll have it in a closed-off room or they'll have it in the basement. And you know, a good realtor will ensure that there's an inspector brought in and a thorough inspection done in a home, and that's usually where they'll find the problem.
Just to add on to that, and I know others want to respond. And
Senator, Mr. Page also wanted to respond.
Yes, I just want to add something to it, and then if you can please respond, I would appreciate it. What would be the impact, or do you feel that there would be an impact to the evaluation of the home? And also, we start hearing just lately, more on my local team, local end of the province, I've started hearing some insurance companies are saying that they fear that they could increase the cost of the insurance, to the point that I had one actually that mentioned to me that their insurance company said that they may even make that a question when you go to insure your home, is are you growing within your home, and that could affect the, so if you can comment on that, and then if the other people who would want to comment on the first or second part of the question, I would appreciate it too. Thanks.
There's absolutely no question that it impacts the value of the home. And you're right that there are insurance companies and there's mortgage insurance companies that are saying, hey, we want to know if somebody has been growing, and now they're in a quandary because if it's grown legally, you know, what are their rights? So they have a lot of concerns as well.
If I could echo that, Senator, what we've seen with our members is that because there are no remediation standards, either in provinces or across the country, in terms of what to do once you've discovered mold or fungus growing in the home, what we've seen is mortgage insurers are reluctant to offer insurance on that property, and financial institutions are reluctant to lend money against that property. So what you've effectively done is taken that home off the market until you can do, we've seen remediations from ripping all the walls down to the studs to make sure that you've gotten rid of all the mold for the home to be palatable to those institutions to willing to put it back on the market. And you've seen the evidence from BC Hydro, heard the evidence about 40,000 grow-ops while it's illegal. Who knows what's going to happen when it's legal, but when you take homes off the market, that creates secondary and tertiary problems in terms of the availability of properties as well.
I think what we're hearing here, though, are facts and figures, if I could call them that, based on large-scale commercial illicit grow-ops. When I hear the term grow-op, that does not describe the limited for-plant personal cultivation as contemplated in this bill. And in terms of moisture, I mean, you know, having a shower without the fan on in a basement over a period of time will probably put more moisture into a home than 4 plants that are just watered judiciously and in regular pots. I mean, my house has more than that 9 square feet of just regular orchids that my wife really likes. And in terms of the moisture coming out of those plants, I'm sure that boiling a pot of spaghetti in the kitchen is generating more moisture. So I don't think we can fearmonger based on some of the horror stories around illicit grow ops when we're talking about for-plant limit personal cultivation.
Do I have
Okay,
time?
no, I have to move on. Senator